Hi. Romantic love. Why it's hard and why it matters. I've made only one truly great decision in my life. It was the day I met my wife, Jessica, and decided she was the one. Over 40 years later, our relationship is not perfect, but it has been deeply good and more gratifying than any other aspect of my life. Which is why the cultural moment we are living through worries me so much. In 1980, nearly half of 30-year-olds were both married and homeowners. Today, that number has fallen to the low teens. Something essential about family formation and partnership is collapsing. And it raises a question. Why is it so much harder to pair today? The big shift. What makes love last? Is the success of Jessica's and my marriage luck? Fate? Well, probably a little of both. But if I had to name the essential ingredient, it is this. From the very beginning, we made each other the center of our universe. Not our jobs, not our hobbies, not even our extended families. That choice has shaped every part of our life together. Jessica is part of every plan I make and every hope I carry. We check in constantly, rebalancing priorities as life changes. And it isn't glamorous, but it's essential. She committed deeply and wholeheartedly to this imperfect, often difficult man, and in doing so, made me happier, healthier, and more fulfilled. She has also shaped our daily habits, even reframing exercise as movement, keeping our routines sustainable, and building traditions that now carry forward to our grandchildren. Even as a very young woman, Jessica had a clear idea of what she wanted out of life: a big family, a strong Jewish identity, and a fulfilling career. She probably had that clarity by 18. I did not, at least not as defined, but I had enough of it to merge with her in that pursuit. There was never a question about whether we would work hard, raise children, and build a life together. We simply moved forward. We have the family today because we began early and with purpose. This is what I call the big shift. The moment you reorder your life so your partner becomes your primary orbit. When both people make that shift, everything changes. Priorities align, decisions feel shared, and the relationship develops a center of gravity strong enough to withstand life's storms. It begins with a shared vision of the future and the decision to build a life together. Do you want the same kind of life? Are you moving in the same direction? And most importantly, do you share a growth mindset? The belief that learning, curiosity, and personal evolution are part of the relationship itself. Without that, couples don't just stop loving each other, they stop growing together. Not everyone wants to make this shift, and that's fine. If you rather live alone in the mountains or focus entirely on your art, you don't need to pretend otherwise. But if you do want lasting love, you must find someone who wants it just as much and who is willing to reorder their life accordingly. Commitment is a container. Many people today hesitate at the very idea of long-term commitment. Some aren't sure lasting partnership is even possible. Others are daunted by the thought of one person forever. I met a young founder recently whom I admire greatly. This person is talented driven, and exceptional in nearly every domain. But when the topic of relationships came up, they admitted, almost casually, I have commitment anxiety. And I hear that more often than you might think. It's worth acknowledging because without facing that fear, it's almost impossible to build the kind of enduring partnership that transforms both people. Commitment is not confinement. It's the container that makes growth possible. If you commit to something as steady and structured as a family, it doesn't clip your wings, it strengthens them. It gives you the freedom to pursue your work and your life with a level of authority and responsibility you might not otherwise have, along with the resilience in times of crisis. When your family is your shareholder, the pressure is not a burden, but a gift. And when you care for others, it comes back to you tenfold. Yet many people are delaying partnering or giving up on it altogether, often deciding against children in the process. The societal consequences of this are larger than any couple can carry, but they are real. Unless we repopulate, the long-term results, economically, culturally, and socially, are unlikely to be ones we welcome. Why high achievers struggle in love. We live in an age of unprecedented personal capability. People are smarter, more self-aware, and more accomplished than ever. And yet many of the most talented individuals struggle not with success, but with love. High achievers often bring the same skills to relationships that they use in their careers: control, optimization, efficiency. But love resists all of that. It's not a system to be managed. It's a surrender to something unknowable. True intimacy demands emotional risks, mutual dependence, and the willingness to let another person shape you. For those who have built their identity on self-sufficiency, that can feel like weakness, even when it's exactly what's required. Add the paradox of choice, distraction, and the pressure for a partner to be everything at once, and it's no wonder many avoid commitment. More than pressure. Psychologist Robert Waldinger draws a distinction between hedonia, the pursuit of pleasure, and eudaimonia, the pursuit of meaningful life. Too often, modern romance chases the hedonic version of love, the spark, the thrill, the spa day, feeling of being adored. There's nothing wrong with pleasure, but it's not enough to sustain a relationship. Eudaimonic love runs deeper. It's the satisfaction of showing up for someone else over time, even when it's inconvenient. That is the kind of love that lasts. Why humility wins. Harvard professor, best-selling author, and Atlantic columnist Arthur Brooks puts it simply. Confidence is attractive, but humility is what makes love sustainable. Confidence may start a relationship, but humility keeps it alive when things get difficult. It creates the room for apology, listening, and repair. Without humility, disagreements calcify into resentment. With it, they become turning points that deepen trust. What romantic love really is. At its core, romantic love contains eros, physical attraction, longing, the desire to merge. But it does not stop at the body. Romantic love says, I want to know you, and I want you to know me so deeply it changes who I am. That is the operative measure for me. Whenever someone I know falls in love and introduces me to their partner, I pay attention to one question, both explicitly and implicitly. Does this love make them better? Because if you are truly in love, you should be the best version of yourself, or at least a better one. Love should elevate every part of your life. As my mother often said, be better, not bitter. Over time, romantic love matures. It may begin in projection, but it deepens into presence, loving the person not for who we imagined, but for who they truly are. As the writer Gorash Baral puts it, to love any actual person, you have to kill the fantasy of the perfect one. And that's a kind of death. This is why romantic love can feel both exhilarating and destabilizing. It's companionship, but also transformation. And in a culture fluent in self-love and therapeutic language, romantic love remains a frontier. It asks us to merge without losing ourselves, to serve without erasing who we are, and to allow another person to shape us even as we hold on to our own ground. That has certainly been true in my own marriage. Jessica and I have built a life together for decades, but that doesn't mean it's always been easy. No journey worth taking is without bumps in the road. We've fought, been frustrated, and faced our share of low points. But none of those moments ever pierced the veil of what is so good between us. They never carried the feeling of, I give up, or I don't believe in this anymore. Instead, they became turning points. If a relationship were only ease and joy, there would be no growth. The hard moments pushed us to lean back in, to be honest with ourselves, and to keep shaping better habits together. That too is part of love. Showing up for the best days and also doing the work of staying together through the hardest ones. The 7 keys. If the last section was about what romantic love means in theory, this one is about what it has looked like in practice. After more than 40 years with Jessica, I can trace our lasting bond back to a handful of habits and choices. 7 keys that have carried us through. First, commitment. From the beginning, Jessica and I shared high aspirations, but we were equally committed to building a life together. Working in different spheres gave us complementary strength rather than competition. We were also deeply committed to our Jewish traditions and to shaping our home with rituals and habits that built character and moral grounding for our family. Even in the way we lived, we shared what I call an athletic posture towards life. Fast-moving, action-oriented, more inspired by doing than by talking. That shared energy has been a strength, even as we have learned with age the importance of slowing down. 2, intimacy. Jessica insists on physical closeness with many hugs every single day. She will stop me in the morning to say, "No, we need skin on skin for 5 minutes before we go." It's not about sex, it's about presence. And she's especially good at it when it matters most. If something is wrong, or if she has upset me, she is the first to close the distance with a hug. It's her way of repairing. And she is right. A hug and a kiss go a long way. 3, presence. Over the years, we've made a deliberate effort not to be apart for long stretches. In 40 years, I can count on one hand the time we've been apart for more than a few days. Staying physically close has been part of how we've kept our bond alive. Togetherness is not just about affection, it's about the consistency of showing up. 4, optimism and curiosity. The heart of our optimism is that we rarely conclude we are stuck. Jessica pivots quickly when life throws the unexpected at us, while I tend to be more strategic and future-oriented. Once I called her at 5:30 to say a dozen colleagues were in town with nowhere to eat. Without hesitation, she said, "Okay," threw a few chickens in the oven and pulled together a meal. That kind of flexibility balances my planning. We're also endlessly curious, always looking for new ways to live a better life, so much so that it has become our shared hobby. Jessica even wrote a book about it and is constantly testing new ideas. She may not go bungee jumping, but she will dive into silent retreats, a challenging book, or an unusual restaurant. That spirit of exploration has kept us learning and growing together. Through it all, we try not to take ourselves too seriously. Humor and perspective go a long way in a relationship. As I often remind myself in difficult moments, I love you more than I love being right. 6, strength in difference. While it matters that Jessica and I come from similar backgrounds and share the same traditions, there are also real differences between us. We grew up in the same economic class, and that shared context has made some things easier. We're both Swedish, both from Stockholm, and that familiarity gave our families, weddings, and gatherings a built-in sense of community. But we're also not the same. Jessica has a completely different professional identity. We have never competed at work and over who's the breadwinner. That has been clear from the start. There's never been any question about that. And we brought different strengths to our family. That balance has shaped how we work as a team. 7, framework of values. Love needs more than emotion. It needs a framework. At its best, religions offer that, a set of boundaries, rituals, and shared values that make life more ordered and manageable. Is it perfect? No. Do I wish religions didn't carry so many flaws? Absolutely. But I've yet to find another collective framework that gathers so many people I value under the same guiding structure, and that alone makes it easier to live by. I am reminded of the long conversation between Sam Harris, a well-known atheist writer, and Jordan Peterson, a Canadian psychologist. Peterson argues that we need an ethical framework, and for now, religion is the best we have. Harris believes religion has caused too much harm and must be replaced. I find truth in both views, but whatever the answer is, it must be something widely embraced. Secularization has not been followed by anything equally grounding. You cannot replace going to church every Sunday with TikTok. It doesn't work. People still need something larger than themselves, whether that's God, Jesus, Muhammad, the Buddha, or even the kind of fatherly love figures who remind us to shape up and live by certain principles. Those reminders, whether religious or not, give structure to life. In our marriage, that framework has mattered. Our mutual respect and commitment to these shared values have been profoundly important. All of this still stands, and one thing, trust. Togetherness is complicated. The deeper the bond, the more it will test you. Trust is built in small, ordinary ways by keeping promises and showing up when you say you will. Each act is like a deposit in the goodwill account of the relationship. Over time, those deposits become the foundation that intimacy and commitment rest on. The gift of partnership. The beauty, depth, and richness of living your life so closely with one person is that it inevitably changes you. It sensitizes you to things you might never have noticed before. It makes you a better and more whole person. That in turn can make you a better leader, a better professional, and a better contributor in every area of life. A deep, enduring partnership expands who you are, the house you build together. In praise of romantic love. What I've been building here is, in a way, a case for romantic love. I'm not claiming to be any kind of authority, and I know my experience won't match everyone else's. But I can say without hesitation that my partnership with Jessica has been the best part of my life, and I want other people to experience that for themselves. Why wouldn't I? At our wedding, I read a few lines from Khalil Gibran's poem on love, words that still feel as true today as they did then. Here's what he said. Let there be spaces in your togetherness, and let the winds of the heavens dance between you. Love one another, but make not a bond of love. Let it rather be a moving sea between the shores of your souls. For me, that captures it. The closeness, the individuality, and the shared current that carries two lives forward together. Here is to more love all around. And here's to Jessica, who over 35 years ago committed so deeply to me. Hopefully the best is yet to come. Thank you. I love you.